People say you have to have a lot of passion for what you're doing, and it's totally true. And the reason is because it's so hard that if you don't, any rational person would give up. It's really hard, and you have to do it over a sustained period of time. So if you don't love it, if you're not having fun doing it, and you don't really love it, you're going to give up. And that's what happens to most people, actually. If you really look at the ones that ended up, being successful, unquote, in the eyes of society, and the ones that didn't, oftentimes it's the ones that are successful loved what they did so they could persevere when it got really tough.
Best way to make money is to make less money than you're making now, enough to still live, because you gotta live, around something that does interest you because you wake up 8 years later and something good is actually happening. So it's not everybody wants to make it the extreme of, I'm sitting in my job, I hate it, this sucks, all the way to beach in Mexico, but there's a real in between, which is why I wrote Crush It, which is at night, when you're done with your shit job that is paying for the life that you have to live right now, you don't take some of that money and buy dumb shit like 17 beers watching the World Cup. What you do instead is you work on something on the internet that costs you nothing to start, save all those dollars, build something for yourself over 7 years, and then transition from the shit job to your own business.
A junior or about to be senior in high school is go to the cheapest school possible to get your freshman and maybe sophomore classes. You don't need to go to Harvard. Harvard, introduction to writing and freshman English and freshman sociology. Okay, you can make an argument it's going to be better than, Joe Blow Junior College or community college, but the reality is you have to weigh that against if you're paying for your school, or more importantly, if you're borrowing money for your school. Do you want to be saddled with $40, $50, $80, $100,000 in debt? I'll give up, the incremental value of freshman English at a great school to not have the stress, just physically on you and your family. And I think all that's going to change. Like, I went to Indiana. I love Indiana. I always recommend going to Indiana. Hoosiers. But the price for out of state has gotten ridiculous. And they want me to build this building, that building. If your school is building buildings, your school is fucked.
And years ago, I went to Sunday school. I'm not a Bible scholar. I'm not pushing religion on anybody. But I remember the story of the rich man. I think he had 3 sons or something like this. And he gave one son X amount of dollars, and the second son X amount of talents, he called them. And then the third son talents. And the first son blew it. He got rid of all his money. He said, okay. The second son came in and said, what you do with the money? And the son said, I buried it. And then the multiplied it. Came back with, gave him $1,000, came back with $5,000. And at that point, the father, or whoever the guy was, took all of the money and gave it to the what? The third son, who multiplied the money. And that's what I learned in Sunday school, is that not God, but whoever does not like people who blow their money, people who just bury the money. See, the poor spend their money, the middle class bury their money, just put it in 401ks or savings. And the rich know how to multiply them.
If you were to just think of yourself right now as you're a money machine, if you take a look at this graphic, here you are, you work your tail off, and what happens? You use your efforts to get money. You trade time for money, you take work and effort for money. But what if you just did something so simple? You already know to do it, you're just not probably doing it at the level that you could. What if you made a decision that a percentage of what you earn, you're never gonna see it, it's just gonna instantly and automatically be put into building this money machine, where you're gonna take a portion of what you earn, 10%, 15%, 8%, 20%. You get to decide the number. But a proportion of what you earn, no matter what, before you ever see it, it's almost like a tax, but the tax is paid to you instead of the government. The tax is for your future self. The tax is about creating financial freedom, so you're not like most people who end up their life being stressed out all the time, where you're the person that can do what you want, when you want, where you want, with whomever you want, because you got freedom. How do you get there? You take a portion of this money that you've done right now and you've earned, you automatically start to fill up this money machine. And just visually imagine, as you work, more goes in, you fill it up, and there's a point a tipping point, if you will. We call the tipping point a critical mass. There's a point where the money you've saved and invested will have grown to a point that there's enough there that if you were to get just a small return on your money in a secure environment, the income off your investments, just the income, the investments are still there, the money is still there, that critical mass, that nest egg is so big that the interest you make on it alone, that interest gives you the income you need to live your life as long as you live without ever having to work again as long as you live, period.